Well, so here we are. It's a Saturday morning as I'm recording this podcast. And it's a little bit cloudy, but in California we get what is called June gloom, which means that in June it's gloomy throughout the morning until about 10 or 11 a.m. and then the sun comes out. And it's that way throughout the whole month of June, so that's why they call it June gloom. Let me admit this, okay? I am an addicted YouTube watcher. And the majority of what I am watching is people who are living abroad, Americans who are living abroad, British people who are living abroad. And I found this really interesting vlogger who lives in Russia. She is Russian, but she's also interviewing Americans who live in Russia and are very happy living there. And it's just amazing to me as she travels through Russia how all of the different sections of Russia are very, very different. There's a Muslim section. It's just truly amazing. And as she talks with them and they tell about their life in Russia. Now, let me get a little bit political here. I have never believed in sanctions. I just don't think they work. And as we have gotten into this bitter relationship with Russia, with this Ukraine thing that we should not be involved in at all. But remember, I think they put in like 127 different sanctions against Russia. One of them was that like Visa and MasterCard completely got out and they could not operate in Russia. Well, that didn't stop Russia. Russia has their own credit card system, and it's linked to the Chinese credit card system. Now, you can't go into Russia and use your Visa MasterCard. You just can't. You're going to have to bring cash, and you're going to have to transfer it into rubles. But that is the issue that a lot of the Russians that are living there is that it really has not affected them. These sanctions have not affected them. They're living very well. If you go into the grocery stores, they're fully packed. Now, there's no more American products in there, but there's products there from Italy, there's products there from Poland, there's products all chocolates and vodka and clothing and everything are no longer from America. They're all coming from other different countries. The same thing with like Starbucks. Starbucks completely pulled out of Russia, but a new company came in, kind of took over the company of Starbucks, and now it's called Star. So you've got Star. McDonald's completely pulled out. Well, there's a new company there that Russian music artist bought, and so now there's a Russian, but the menu looks exactly the same, but it's no longer McDonald's. So all of those companies that left Russia have been replaced by other Russian companies. And they are all doing very well. So the only thing that has happened is transferring English money or US dollars into Russia has become more difficult. There's only 2 banks there that you can open up a bank account that's a dollar account. Or maybe there's 3, but the one that she talked about was only 2. So if we look at this and we say, okay, has sanctions worked against the Russian people and are they angry? No. They're doing very well. They're walking around, they're traveling, they're doing all this stuff. The Russian monetary system, but it's going better than what the American people are told it is going. The best approach that should have happened with Russia in Ukraine is that instead of egging them on like Biden did, like some senators from South Carolina did, and Lindsey Graham is one of the worst type of politicians that you want because he is so anti-Russia that he wanted to create this negative fighting relationship. In fact, he went there years ago with Senator McCain and said, yeah, if you go into war, we will support you. Well, that was years ago. Now he's got his way, and he loves the fact that they're fighting the Russians. I think we look at too many times. We look at these disputes between countries that it should need to go into war. There's a lot of people that push war instead of sitting down and talking and negotiating at the very beginning. And then if it doesn't work out, then we have to do a little bit stronger measures. But sanctions do not work. They have not hurt Russia at all, and they've got their big financial ally in China, and so they can do a lot of different things. And that's why a lot of countries are now going around America, because every time that we get angry at something, we sanction them. It's the wrong approach. The wrong approach is that you fulfill your negotiation skills and you work your relationships into a better situation than into a worse situation. If you look at Donald Trump, yes, he made sanctions, but he also played tough, and they negotiated and they talked and they continued to talk throughout the presidency. President Biden has not talked to the Russian president for many, many years, and that is the wrong thing to do. I'd much rather be, Henry Cabalodge once says, I'd much rather be respected as a country. And the only way you do that is through your strength. If you have good negotiators like Trump and other individuals like that, you can get a lot more done. But if you go into this hate situation, I hate the Russians, I hate the Ukrainians, I hate all these other people. If you keep saying you hate, you never accomplish anything. Look at the politics in the United States at the moment. Everybody hates everything. Does anything get resolved? Nothing gets resolved. Is our debt being resolved? No. The debt grows more and more because each sides are angry at each other. They don't like each other. The other issue is on immigration and on the border. Does anything ever get done? No, because each side hates each other, and they never talk about it, they never negotiate, they never sit down at the table and work out something that is workable for the American people. No, they never do it, because their hate drives their politics. So we have got to get out of this hate-driven environment and start saying, okay, I've got to do something that's good for the American people. Russia has got to do on their side, okay, I've got to do something that's good for the Russian people. Ukraine has to do the same thing. They got to sit down at the negotiating table and start working something out. You don't want this war to go on and on forever. You don't want the American public, the American taxpayer, spending billions and billions of dollars on a war that just sits there and does nothing. So this type of leadership, where it's a hate-driven leadership, is not going to get us anywhere close to doing something for the American people. It's not going to get anywhere to do something for the Russian people or the Ukrainian people. We have got to rethink this whole situation, and we've got to be a little bit more aggressive in how we talk with nations. Because they now have the power to go outside of the United States, out of their banking system, out of our manufacturing system, and they can go to other countries and get whatever they want. If they need vehicles, they can get all the vehicles they want from China or Korea or North Korea. They have all of these other options. So we have got to realize that nations have other options besides the United States. And if you keep leading through anger or leading through hate, not companies, but other nations are going to look very negatively upon the American people, American government. If you lead by strength, you can negotiate very strongly because you have something to negotiate with now. But these sanctions have not worked against Russia, and they, how many more sanctions do we need? Because it does not make an impact on the Russian government at all. They've got their allies. They've got strong allies. China is a very strong ally. South Korea, North Korea are strong allies. Iran is a strong ally. Saudi Arabia is a strong ally. And if you think that the oil embargo stopped or did anything, no, it didn't, because Russians are still selling their oil to Saudi. Saudi doesn't produce as much oil anymore because they can buy it very cheaply from Russia. And so when we buy oil from Saudi Arabia, we are actually buying oil from Russia. So this whole thing is so dumb and so confusing. No one wants to sit down at the table and talk. And if that's the case, then we have non-leadership, especially in the United States government. And if we don't get back to this leadership role, we are going to make more and more nations angry at us rather than wanting to work with us. You see, a lot of these nations really admire when you have clout. When they know that when you say you're going to do something, you're going to do it. Unlike in the current situation that we have in this administration, it's a wishy-washy. We don't even know which way we're going. We don't know. And that is a danger to the United States economy, to the United States sovereignty, and also to our national security, because we have a wishy-washy type of situation at the moment. These countries out there admire and have admired the United States in the past by our strength, our military strength, our financial strength, our manufacturing strength, everything, the democracy strength. They admire us for that. But now they don't. So when you see the government say, well, we're going to put more sanctions on Russia, we're going to put more sanctions, it doesn't do any good, because now there are other big players out there besides the United States. We're no longer controlling the worldwide economy or leaders in the worldwide economy like we used to. Now you've got other nations out there who are playing big roles. Dubai in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. You've got China. You've got all of these players, even Russia. Russia is still a major player out there when it comes to oil and other types of entities. So until we get smart and actually lead through negotiation and lead through talking with these countries and trying to resolve some of these situations out there instead of egging it on, we're not going to see a difference. So it really does matter what type of leadership you have in the White House. Right now, we have zero leadership. Zero. And that is a problem for the American people. But as I'm watching all of these YouTubers out there, and they're traveling from country to country, nation to nation, city to city, small villages to small villages, I see something out there that is a wonderful world out there. A lot of these people who are living in like Thailand are living on very little dollars, but you know what? They're very happy to be where they're at. Yeah, they dream about going to America. But a lot of them, when they get here, they say, oh my gosh, this is a tough life. America is a tough life. Then they go back. Or they go back and forth. I have learned so much. I started watching YouTube when I was in the pandemic. And I was watching how to cook. I was watching how to build things. I was watching all this stuff and doing it as I was watching. And I got so involved in individuals who decided, okay, I'm leaving my country. I'm leaving America. I'm leaving England. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to live in Italy. I'm going to buy an old farmhouse and I'm going to fix it up. And you watch this all the time. And these people are happy. even though it's stressful in rebuilding some of these chateaus and some of these old farmhouses, they're working at it, they're happy about it, and they have no reason to express that they're unhappy, because they're happy working at what they're rebuilding, what they're putting back into to society. Some of these old buildings over there have been totally destroyed almost, and they're taking them and putting them back together. I'm watching this one individual who had took this old chateau. I mean, it was burnt down. There was just barely walls standing up, and he's rebuilding it floor by floor by floor. And there are other individuals who have taken old farmhouses and gutted them and redid them inside, and they're very happy, and they sit there and everything is paid for in their life, and they're very happy. So you look at all of these different ways of life. You see that sanctions are not working. You see that this stupidity of ourselves, that we don't sit down at the table and negotiate. And you wonder, okay, what can I do with my own life to make it better? What can I do? And that's the way it is. Listen, I hope everybody goes out and have a great day. Watch some YouTube channels. You'll find a whole bunch of information out there. And as you live through their videoing and how they're living their lives, you often think, maybe I need a new project. This is Mike Lodge. Talk with you soon. This is the Business Advisor. Bye-bye.